And welcome, everyone. It is Beaufort County's House of Cards. I am Mike Covert. Glad to have you here with us on this Thursday evening. Let's do a little bit of sound control there. It's great to have you. Thanks for being here. Man, have we got a show for you tonight. This thing has changed. I've made changes all week long, really, to the hopefully everybody gets these little announcements that comes over their Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, YouTube, about the show, because I've been changing it all week long. So those have been coming out. It is the 15th of December. Unbelievable that we are already halfway through December.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And this is, again, this is the House of Cards. Welcome to those of you who are on Facebook, to those of you on Twitch, and also YouTube. Be sure, especially the YouTube. We want to do some extra things with that, but I got to get more. I have to have more subscribers and more people clicking through there. So if you're on YouTube, right below your screen there, hit the subscribe button and the little bell and all that, be a part of the show. As always, we want you to consider being a part of the show with our big Patreon network. You can join right there on the screen. It's patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. We have something special coming up that we're going to be doing, and that is for monthly subscribers to the Patreon membership at associate level. Or higher, but associate level, you're going to get a free Big Patriot Radio t-shirt. And then every referral that you have, bringing somebody into the Patreon club, if you will, you'll get, it may be a coffee mug, it may be a hat, sweatshirt, all kinds of swag we're going to have in the merch store from Big Patriot Radio. So go check that out. That's patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. And as always, enjoy it. We enjoy it. We enjoy bringing these things to you. So stay tuned with us and be sure to tell your friends, family, and your friends' family. Have you all heard Big Patriot Radio yet? If you haven't, you really ought to head over to bigpatriotradio.com. You can go to live365.com and search Big Patriot Radio there. There's all kinds of ways to find Big Patriot Radio. It's on your mobile device. We just found out, matter of fact, that if you have Alexa and you have the Live 365 downloaded to Alexa, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. Just go to your Alexa app, and I think you have to go into it manually and download the Live 365, however that works. And anyway, get on there and say, "Hey, Alexa, tune to tune to Big Patriot Radio," and all of a sudden it comes up. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool there.
Are you buying or selling property in Beaufort, Bluffton, Hilton Head? Look no further than Denise Ressler, Exit Realty Hilton Head. Hey, Denise is my trusted real estate advisor, and she should be yours too. Honest, competent, and professional? Call or text Denise Ressler at 412-979-6297.
And we want to say a big thank you to Denise Ressler and all of the advertisers that we have. We have a lot on there now. On Big Patriot Radio. Denise was our very first one. She's going to get special deals as we go along, so be sure to check her out. And Big Patriot Radio is powered by United Digital Promos. So be sure to go check out UnitedDigitalPromos.com.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
So we're going to try the call-in lines again tonight. Let's put that back up on the screen for folks. The studio hotline number is 202-980-2023. That's 202-980-2023. That is the call-in line. I worked on this all week. I think I've got it figured out. And if not, I'm going to have to get a hold of my folks over there at United Digital Promos and Marlene, get her to figure this out. But I think I've got it. So you want to call in. Tonight is Open Mic Thursday, and we'd love to take your call. What else? Be sure, if you listen to Big Patriot Radio, and we hope that you do, and if you haven't, we hope that you will. Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, it's the Jeff Zapp Show. Jeff Zapp, the voiceovers, the Zapper, his podcast will be on Big Patriot Radio at 7 o'clock. Then on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, Al Flowers and Talk One Radio is on there. So we've teamed up with those guys and got their shows on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're on Thursday, and we are just we're crossing T's and dotting I's. We're going to have another podcast on. A good friend of mine up in the Charleston area, who covers all over the state, all over the area. We'll surprise you with that as that comes along. We're going to get him on here as well. Be sure to leave your comments in the chat rooms, and they'll come on the screen here if you would like to have them on there. And again, it's open mic, so please call us if you like. So I wanted to. It's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks now that I haven't been able to get back to Rupelmond, a little history lesson, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to this week either. There's just so much to talk about. Usually this time of year, things slow down. But then again, this is Beaufort County, and this is South Carolina. So no, it doesn't slow down. So I want to, let's talk about, I'm sure that you all are well aware of the stories about the pornography, etc., inside the Beaufort County public school libraries. You've probably followed it here, possibly in the papers. I know the Island Gazette, Island Packet rather, Beaufort Gazette, the Island News. I'm sure that the Bluffton Today, I'm sure they all cover it. But anyway, let me first say that the reporters especially the only ones that I've talked to, have been with the Island Packet. And the reporters there, super people. They are very nice, but extremely green. And I understand they have a certain, they have to keep a certain slant to their stories. Now, I don't expect anyone to ever admit to that. But it's true. If you've ever read any of the McClatchy newspapers, and I'm only speaking for the Island Packet, Beaufort Gazette. If you've ever read any of the McClatchy newspapers, they do have a certain slant to them. That is what it is. Okay. And it's very evident in their articles. So this isn't, I'm not taking this out on those ladies. They keep referring to me in political tense, but I have to remind them I am not an elected official. I was, not is. Anyway, with that being said, let's refresh where we are at this point. So the review committee, and by the way, we do have a on-screen guest tonight. This is going to be big. Anyway, there was a review committee on these books. They decided to put the first 4 books up for review. They went through the process, and not to mince words, but they decided to put, this was by vote, all 4 of those books, The Handmaid's Tale, Speak, Kite Runner, and Perks of Being a Wallflower, they decided to put them all back on the shelves. Some of them, they said they weren't going to put in the classroom, but some were going to go back, or all back into the library. So, and it is important to say that none of these review committees, their body, and I think it's 6 or 7 people that make these up, none of them, even reported by the paper, none of them have had full meeting. There hasn't been a full board there. So the question of whether it's biased or not does come up. There is a question with that. But be that as it may, there were at least two of us that I'm aware of, that submitted requests to have these books and actually there's 4 and then like 92 or 93 others removed from the shelves. We asked for them to be pulled and removed. We never once asked for them to be banned. Now, there are a boatload of people who keep clamoring that these wacko right-wingers want to ban books. Nobody has ever said we want to ban them. We don't want to burn them. We want them to be reviewed, and we want them to be placed appropriately. One person commented here recently that, well, having them removed is banning them. So what's the difference? Well, you say tomato, I say tomato. That's splitting hairs. That is trying to pick a fight. That I don't know anybody that's willing to do that, because it's not normal. Anyway, I was one of the people who requested this. There was a big listener of the show. Ivy was another one. Hopefully she's on here tonight. There may have been more. I do not know. We were formally told on December 8th that right at 8 o'clock, we had emails from the school district that we had 7 days to appeal what I just told you, that they had decided these books were going to go back. And this process is being reviewed now. Now, the time they told us is not the time the review committee stopped or had their meeting, their decision. I don't know when that was. I see stories in the paper and I've had people tell me, but there was a period of time that passed. Now, the clock is for 7 business days. So by all math accounts, that would be Monday night at like 8 o'clock. We would have to have, if we're going to appeal these, we would have to have that in. That's where that set of books is right now. Last night, and when I wrote today's show, it was supposedly, now I can tell you that it is true, there was another review committee meeting on more books. I believe it was 2 books. They didn't tell me which ones. I do know that one of the books is stamped by Ibram Kendi. That book, even though it's pimped out by the left-wing media darlings as anti-racist and again teaches such, is one of the most racially and radically divisive books children or anyone for that matter could get their hands on. Teachings are such in this book that they explain the ism that white people are bred to be racist. Really? I don't care what color you are. I don't believe people are bred to be racist. I think that is a left-wing talking point to try to stir the pot and continue to divide the people. Anyway, I have now seen, I got an email tonight. It was at about 3 o'clock or so, 4 o'clock this afternoon, from the school system that has said this is what they're doing with those books. And if you want to appeal them, you have 7 business days, which I think would make it like the 23rd, 22nd or 23rd. I'd have to go look. Now, I want to reinforce what I've said the entire time. Let me get back over here. What I've said the entire time throughout this issue, that even before Beaufort County woke up to it, I said this back when Pickens County was going through it. And now there are others as well. This is being talked about in Lexington, in Horry County, in Charleston, in Sumter County, in Greenville County. It's very, very hot. In York County, and others. Aiken County, matter of fact. This should not be a political talking point and should not be a political thing, if you will. Now, political meaning, where I'm coming from, is right versus left, Republican versus Democrat. I have never made it that way. I have not once said anything about banning books, not banning books, allowing books, not allowing books, both sides of the road, whatever. I have never said that to or should equivocate to a political passion. However, this week, the Beaufort County Democrat Party, while saying this should not be political, I guess they agree with me, made a public statement at the school board meeting by one of the area's most liberal activists, Jody Shrutek, reading a resolution passed by the Democrat Party of Beaufort County, oddly enough, just moments before she got up to speak. And that said they were condemning any acts of banning books, etc. And I have this, so let's take a listen. Let's see if we can get all this to work. And we're going to go to, will it work? Will it work? And son of a gun, where are you? There you are. It's all audible, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Let's play this.
Thank you. So this evening, while I was here, Democratic Party Executive Committee also had a meeting. And
let me know if you can't hear that.
They passed a resolution that they wanted me to share with you all. I am a member of the Executive Committee, but I did not vote on this because I was here at this meeting and not at their meeting. But I will read this to you now. The resolution to support intellectual freedom under the First Amendment. The below resolution was adopted unanimously on the 13th day of December 2022 by the Beaufort County Democratic Party Executive Committee. Whereas foundational to our democracy is the freedom of expression, which includes the right to read, seek, and receive ideas, and is protected speech under the First Amendment. Whereas the Beaufort County Democratic and direct the leadership of the Beaufort County School District to follow established policies regarding the handling of library materials and to prevent the infringement of First Amendment rights of students. Be it resolved that the Beaufort County Democratic Party supports the freedom of expression as guaranteed by the First Amendment to include the rights of all students to access a variety of books in schools, in libraries, and elsewhere, and opposes attempts by public officials, entities, and any others in the community working to limit access of students to a wide variety of literature and learning resources. So we will send you all a copy of that tomorrow. Thanks again.
All right. So there you have it. Let's put that back down. There you have it. Oddly enough, or interestingly enough, and once again, our studio hotline is 202-980-2023. So oddly enough, Shrutek does say in her opening, and this was just a few nights ago, she does say in her opening that, with all fairness, that she is not on the board and or the board of the party and didn't vote on this. But she must be involved somehow. She must be pretty close to the chest of whoever is. Enough for them to send her this resolution and have her read aloud, ironically, that she was there at the school board meeting. So, the taking over of public schools, if you will, in our children's minds is happening everywhere. And I mean everywhere. In Wilmington, Ohio, recently, there was a story done by news station WLWT Channel 5 about an after-school program called, get this, the Satan Club. Let's check out this video We'll bring that up. This video from WLWT Channel 5 in Wilmington, Ohio.
The after-school Satan Club met for the first time here at Holmes Elementary. This has controversy brewing throughout the school district and the community.
I let my kids believe in whatever the hell they want to believe in, as long as they're happy and it's not hurting them or hurting someone else.
Christina Long sorts through her kids' bag.
Got some pencils and we got a sticker.
New school supplies from her kids' new group, the after-school Satan Club. Did your kids have fun today?
Oh yeah, they had a blast. They can't wait for the next one.
It's sponsored by the Satanic Temple. The after-school program is popping up around the nation and in many schools that also give space to Christian groups. In Ohio, there's 3: Lebanon, Eaton, and now Wilmington.
We look to Satan as a symbol for standing up to tyrannical authority. To us, Satan is a symbol. It's like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy.
The new group isn't about conjuring up spells. Instead, June Everett, the After-School Satan Club national director, says it's about critical thinking, creative expression, and inclusion.
We don't talk about Satanism, even though we are non-theistic, meaning we don't believe, again, in a supernatural Satan. We don't push it on the kids.
Playing devil's advocate is Jane Johns. She stands alongside others that question the Satan Club's motives.
But I think most people are frightened by hearing that. I mean, that is a little uneasy to take in.
Wilmington City Schools released a lengthy statement that reads in part, the After-School Satan Club is not a district or school-sponsored event, and it does not endorse the activities or the intent of the group or any religious groups.
I understand that we have to have both. You know, if you allow one, you have to allow the other. But, you know, with Satanism, everything's linked to be evil. It's what we've been taught.
This sticker was one of many things passed out to kids in their goodie bags this afternoon, and this group will meet once a month. Reporting in Wilmington, Danielle Dindak, WLWT News 5.
All right, so again, that piece right there from WLWT 5 in Ohio, and I imagine there are some out there, probably the same ones who think it's perfectly okay for a 12-year-old to read about how to perform oral sex, anal sex, etc. And that's in these books that we're talking about just 5 minutes ago. To go to an after-school club about Satan. Now, you saw this on video, the national director or whatever she is, whoever she is, saying that, you know, we aren't shoving this down their throats, or blah, blah, blah. My question is, well, then why do you call it the Satan Club? And my comment back to her is, taking the high road is, why, bless your heart. This obviously is being pushed down their throats, or you wouldn't do it. There obviously is an emphasis on Satan, or you wouldn't do it. You see, how can you go from saying the pledge to the flag, one nation under God, to a satanic cult, a satanic cult club in the same breath? Oh, wait a minute. They don't want God in the schools, but it's okay for Satan. That is what that lady in this story is all about. They don't want God in school. Satan, it's not a big deal. It's okay. Folks, we are to quote a line from a great, I believe it was a Vietnam era movie. We are in a world of shit right now, folks. Plain and simple.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
Again, the hotline is 202-980-2023. You can also comment on your whatever platform you are watching us on. And we do have a guest coming in. Let me see if okay, she got my my link. Okay, we're good to go. She should be coming in any second now. Speaking of crappy things, how can we not talk about the South Carolina GOP party in mentioning that? It's well read, it's well versed, it's well written. You can find it in any search engine about Beaufort County's GOP leadership and how they lick the heels of the boots of Drew McKissick, the state GOP chair. That's happening all over this state. We're going to talk to someone here shortly from up in Horry County about some things that are going on there. I'm not going to let this I'm not going to get too far ahead. Again, the number is 202-980-2023. Also put your comments there in the chat bar. So all of the things that we've been talking about over the last 7 or 8 months when it comes to the Beaufort County GOP is happening all over South Carolina. There are GOP county parties that are having extreme issues right now. The party, and that's where the local party is the head, if you will. We've got 46 counties in this state. There are 46 county GOP parties that make up the state GOP. There are some that are having some issues. I look to my friends in Greenville County, the late Presley Stutz, current GOP chairman Jeff Davis. Now they took the bull by the horns and have solved the establishment elitist issue, the Drew McKissick bootlickers. That county has changed. We have the fight here in Beaufort County. It's going on in Aiken County, Charleston County, Berkeley and Dorchester County, Horry County. And we're going to talk to one of their members here shortly. All over the state, people have begun to become tired of establishment party line politics. There's several different ways you can word it. The establishment, the elitists, the globalists, the good old boys. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Whatever you want to call them, people around this state, just like you, are pissed off, and they're tired of the same old. Here in Beaufort County, we've got our county chairman. Not only is he on the heels of Drew McKissick, I think he shines his boots for him. Obviously, I'm saying that in jest, but am I really? This is happening elsewhere as well. One of the more prolific stories that I have read about this, and is in Horry County. And coming on with us now out of the green room, there she is. I would like, how are you? This is a
Shannon Grady.
pleasure to have you here. How are you, Ms. Grady? Can I call you that, or should I call you Shannon?
Just call me Shannon. Yeah, I'm doing well.
All right. Well, it's glad to have you. I really appreciate this on such short notice for you coming on. Correct me if I'm wrong with anything. You are the duly elected state EC member from Horry County. You're the chair of the Horry County Women's Republican Club, but you have not served a day as the state EC of the Horry County GOP. Is that right?
Well, I was previously the president of the Horry County Republican Women's Club. Now, when Roger and Tracy and Jeremy all resigned, Tracy Beans Diaz was the state EC. So when we had the second election, I was elected as the new South Carolina state EC. So we've only had one meeting since that time. And no, Roger and I were not allowed to participate, even though we were the duly elected representatives of Horry County.
So, I don't know how much you know about, I'm down here in Beaufort County, and we are having some of the same problems, same concerns. And Jeff Davis and I have talked about this a lot, and a lot of other folks that walk in the same circles we do. So, people are probably saying, well, who is she? So let me just jump into it this way. I'd like for you to tell us, in as brief as you want to be. We all know that South Carolina has an incredibly corrupt story of South Carolina politics and action that just it kills the rest of the country. We're so terrible. Give us what happened to you and Roger and where we are now.
Well, initially I was a member, as I said, the 8C GOP as an EC, and I was a delegate to the county and then the state convention. So at that time, I was not aligned with Roger. I was the president of the Horry County Republican Women's Club, largest group in South Carolina at that time. We had about 250 members, and they were supporters of Lynn Wood. We were supporters of Drew McKissick, and it was a very contentious divide. At the conclusion of the state convention, when Drew was declared the winner, Roger and Tracy and Jeremy had already been declared the winners of the representative seats in Horry County. So the rest of us were left to be concerned that, gosh, if they're going to get on board with a guy like Lynn Wood, who we all think is a Democrat, really not even a Republican, then we were very concerned. So as a result of that concern, we got together and decided that the best thing to do would be to work to usurp that group. And I was a part of that. So I don't try to obfuscate my responsibilities in that. So as the president of the women's club, the decision was made that we were going to be the conduit through which the SCGOP would work. And Drew would tell all of the elected officials that, don't deal with the HCGOP. If you want to come and speak or you want to come and do anything in Horry County, you contact this women's group and you'll work through them. And so that's what happened. The role in which Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette played, she was at a meeting, and the primary purpose of her being there really was to lend credibility to the movement, because with people coming in, they'd say, well, the HCGOP, that's where we go, right? And so with her being able to come and speak at our meetings, it gave credibility to our group being, the quote unquote place to be. So, I mean, that's kind of a quick summary of what happened, and I hope that makes sense to you.
Absolutely. So and so people aren't sitting here going, oh my God, wait a minute. She was supporting Drew McKissick, and Covert's sitting here saying, what, Drew McKissick is horrible. Take us to the next step. What happened?
So as I said, we were at the state convention. Drew was elected. We decided that we still needed to do something to thwart what we perceived as a danger to the Horry County Republican Party and the Republican Party of the state as a whole. So Don Bound, who is the head, kind of the owner, operator, creator of Red Hats for Trump, Red Hats America, he took a phone call, and he said, hey guys, I've got Pamela on the phone. Yeah, who's Pamela? So he motions for me to come over, and it turns out it was the lieutenant governor. Now, at the time, he was helping to oversee the building of one of the homes she was having built on the coast, and he was kind of checking in on it from time to time because she's busy with her schedule. So he then later said, we're going to have a meeting. It was like the Saturday after the state convention. Lieutenant Governor Yvette came down, spoke on Reese Boyd's radio show, and when he wrapped up, they came over to his law firm, Davis and Boyd Law Firm, and then we met there in his conference room. And again, she was just there to say, I will support you in whatever you guys do in terms of working through your organization and not through the HCGOP. And so that's what we did. All of the information that normally would have been sent to the HCGOP leadership, like the information for new movers, people that move from other states or counties that are Republicans and want to get involved in the Republican Party in Horry County, typically that information would have been sent to Roger Slagle, the chair, but instead it was sent to me. And so he was completely cut out of the loop, and any events or anything that was done, whether it be, candidates coming to speak, anything and everything to deal with the Republican Party, Roger Slagle and the HCGOP were completely cut out of that. And it was given to my women's club.
So how did it change? And when did it change that, free-thinking people decided that Drew McKissick was not being totally on the up and up, as they say?
Well, I'd love to say it's a lot of people, but it's just me. And how that came to be was I was privy to some information about a candidate being offered, if he would drop out of the race, being offered an opportunity to win another race. And this individual was told, hey, it doesn't matter how many people are in the race. It could be 100. We can guarantee that you're going to win it. Now, my theory is the only way you can guarantee something like that is if you somehow have your finger on the electoral process. And so I immediately was a little bit alarmed by that. And I was led to believe it involved the highest levels, to include, the governor and even Mr. McKissick himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know those individuals both of them had gone down to Mar-a-Lago, and I can't prove this. I wasn't there, but it certainly seems strange that they go down there and then suddenly we get an endorsement for a candidate, and then another candidate is being offered, promises of, hey, go do this. If you'll endorse Russell, we'll endorse you for this other position that, don't worry, you'll win that. So, those are just things that kind of don't add up. So that really disturbed me immensely. I didn't like that. So I kind of started thinking things through, and I thought, that's not how it should be. It should be dependent upon the voters. They should get to decide who they want, and nobody else should be meddling in our election process. So from that, I kind of had that moment where I said, well, Shannon, that's what you've been doing. You basically have been working around the voters of Horry County because they voted and elected this guy. And by that time, I had gotten to know Roger and Tracy and Jeremy, and realized that they weren't, some Democrat plants. They were just Americans who were fed up with the way things are being run in South Carolina from the Republican Party, and they were looking for someone who would oust Drew McKissick. And I think they believed, I still believe it was an error, but they believed that Lynn Wood was going to be that one that could take him out, defeat him in the election. But other than that, we really had the same philosophies. We were both, all of us were America first. I'm a veteran. My husband's a retired veteran. So we really love our country. That's not an issue. And that's kind of where Chad and I kind of, agreed. He's Navy. I was Navy. So I just said, I need to make amends. I was wrong in my actions. And so that's why I came forward.
And that is, I'm glad you said that. I was getting ready to follow that with, you did the right thing and said, hey, I was wrong. And you took the heat for it. And you still, I'm sure, are taking the heat for it. However, there are so many wrongs that have been done and continue to be done. We're exposing them down here on the bottom of the state. This is a huge problem. So what is the end game for Drew McKissick in this whole thing?
Well, I think Drew, like a lot of other people, you get in positions of power and you get, special treatment and things of that nature, and you like it. It becomes an addiction almost. And I think in a lot of ways, part of the problem with the Republican Party, not just here in South Carolina, but across the country, is that the way they maintain control is they keep the group small. If you keep it small, it's easier to control it. When you let it get big, it becomes more difficult because there's more factions, there's more people. And so that's one of the reasons why I think our party is not growing. The Democrats are out there trying to get as many people into the party as they possibly can. And it seems that the Republican Party is always trying to figure out how to keep people out. Either through just outright, what we see here where they just cut you in, but they cut you out, or just not sending you information. People, for example, they sent me a list, and I believe it was either 4,000 names or 6,000 names of individuals who'd moved into Horry County in the past, 6-7 months. Now, we're a small group, and it would have been really easy, a small group in terms of trying to reach that many people. It would have been much easier for them to have said, okay, here are their emails and phone numbers, reach out to them. But instead, they only gave us their physical address and their phone numbers. So we either had to spend a whole lot of time making phone calls, or we had to write a bunch of letters, which if they had given us emails, we could have created an email list with 100 names in each. So it was like they really didn't want us to reach out to these people. That's what I took away from it, is that they really weren't interested in having an additional 6,000 people get involved in the party. And so why is that?
Yeah. And that is, let me just say that we are seeing the same thing here in this part of the state. This happened during the primary season, especially here in the Republican primary, that there were candidates, I was one of them, that were, and some of them were statewide candidates that were physically not allowed into these private plantations. And I know you all have them there in Myrtle Beach, but I'm talking like 10,000 house plantations.
Right.
We were not allowed in. It gives absolute credence to the suggestion of these or some politicians are selected, not elected. That's the problem that we are facing, that people like Drew McKissick are doing, which leads me to another question. These people, the McKissick acolytes or bootlickers, whatever you want to call them, they're in your community. They're in my community. How has this affected Horry County as this snowball is getting bigger and bigger? How is Horry County with this right now?
Well, there's definitely been some folks who have been surprised. And, those who are already with Roger and myself, because at the time I came out, I was with Roger in that group. Not surprised because they knew this. It was just like, aha, now here's the evidence. But some of the folks who weren't aware have come out and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. But it remains to be seen. And we probably won't really know until we get to reorg and to see how many people actually see this for what it is and recognize. Because, even Don Bound has been questioned about it. And his response, and I credit him this, his response was an honest response. Because he didn't deny it. He didn't say, no, I didn't do this. But they said, Don, why did you do this? And his response was, because I thought I was doing the right thing. And that I did too. But now I would like to see them all recognize you weren't doing the right thing. It was wrong because we were taking away the legitimate vote of nearly 200 people. There were over 400 people at our convention, and over 200 of them voted, or nearly 200 of them voted for Roger Slagle. So you can't take away their vote. That's not right. We didn't like when they did it to Donald Trump, and we shouldn't approve of it when they do it to somebody else just because we don't agree with them. So again, I played a part in that. So I'm not trying to pass the buck. The buck is as much in my corner as it is anybody else's. But I would hope they would come forward and say, I'm sorry. What I'd love to see happen is I'd love to see Reese Boyd, again, he should step down and say, I'm not the chair. Roger Slagle is the chair. And, I'm the state EC, but I'll be honest with you, I never wanted this position. I'd be fine if Mike Conant wanted it. If the ECs voted and they voted Mike Conant in, so be it. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But I do think Roger Slagle is the chair and Jeanette Spurlock is the vice chair. And so those individuals need to step down post haste.
So who has financial control over the Horry County GOP?
Roger Slagle. He does. He still has that. He still has a charter. So they don't have the funds. They don't have the charter, but they are running around using the name, the 8C GOP, and they're using Drew McKissick's letter. And in fact, Mark Minoet, who is basically one of Drew's assistants, told me at the state EC meeting that Roger had resigned and there was nothing he could do about it because Drew McKissick had accepted his resignation. And I told him, I said, Mark, because the first thing he said was, I know the rules better than anybody. I know the rules inside and out. And I said, well, great. Then could you please tell me which rule says that no one can rescind a resignation? And he said, well, you tell me which rule says you can. And I said, okay, so you can't point to a rule that prohibits it. And there is no rule that allows it either. So that means it's not addressed in the SCGOP rules. And so then you go to the bottom of the SCGOP rules and it says, if it's not covered here, you go to Robert's rules. And under Robert's rules, it absolutely allows for him to pull back or withdraw a resignation. Absolutely. The only way it could have been prohibited is if the ECs had taken a vote and said, hey, I make a motion, we accept his resignation, seconded, voted yes. Then he couldn't, but he didn't. So Mark Minoet then says to me, well, Drew McKissick, he signed the letter and he has accepted it. And I said, well, last time I checked, Drew McKissick has no power to appoint or direct anybody to be the chairs of the various counties. That is done by their ECs. And you can see the blank look on his face like, crap, she's got me. And I'm like, yeah. And since the ECs did not vote these people in, the group of people that voted me in, we had a 2/3 majority. The group that voted in that guy over there, Reese Boyd, only had 50+1, which is not how the bylaws are written. And I could tell by the look on Mark's face, he knew I was right. Yeah. So I said, so here's what we'll do, Mark. I said, let's get a third-party mediator. We'll have our group present our facts. You have their group present their facts, and let a third-party mediator. And he actually said, I'd be okay with that. So then I said, well, let us stay then for this meeting. No, you got to go. You got to go.
And now that's the little fella.
Yeah.
Little fella that he trolls around, and he's a little henchman, little Napoleon.
Yeah, he's the one that went to Oconee apparently and held the kangaroo court and removed their chair because he knows the rules. Yeah, he knows the rules.
Yeah, and usually people that have to toot their horn do it because they really don't know what they're talking about. But anyway,
I don't know. He's a young 20-something-year-old kid. I mean,
he's still got water back here.
Yeah, he's a little wet behind the ears. Yeah, so I don't begrudge him. He's just doing what he's told. I mean, that's why I'm sure that Drew McKissick told him under no circumstances are you going to allow, Shannon Grady and Roger into this room. Sure. Now, what we could have done is because somebody else had offered us this. They said, if they won't let you in as your duly elected positions, we'll bring you in as guest. And we could have done that. But I said, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
And then some other folks said, well, if you knew we were not going to be allowed in, why did you go? And I said, because if we had not gone, it would have been as if we had acquiesced and said, well, obviously we're not the elected officials. It's now these folks. Mm-hmm. So I said, no, I want to make the point. And I even said it at the check-in table. I said, these are not the correct names. I said, you have the wrong names down for the people in these positions. And they kept saying, well, the Horry County's checked in. I said, no, they haven't. I said, these aren't the right people. So I wanted them to know that I'm not, and I hope Drew sees this somehow, some way to let him know, Drew, I'm not going to give up, buddy. Yeah,
no, you can't.
You ought to know me. You should know me well enough now. I've worked with you enough, Drew. You should know I'm like a dog after a bone. I ain't gonna let it go.
I love that. Let me ask you. I was going to ask you about his role in county parties. Does he have any responsibility? And I think you answered that operational and instructional or financial. Drew McKissick as state chair has zero to do with any of the 46 county GOP parties, right?
That is correct.
Let me ask you, organization is a big thing. You had touched on it just briefly, and reorg is coming. This is going to be huge, and it's part of my program here coming up in the next half hour. And we've got these cards about reorg that we're going to talk about. But do you believe that the more people in the Republican Party, or the more people that hear what you have to say, what this outlet has to say, what others have to say, that will wake them up and begin to organize? And hopefully these establishment elitists will begin to crumble. Do you foresee that happening?
Yes, I mean, it's just a matter of getting out and knocking on doors. Let me just give one more example, if I can, of the SCGOP not wanting us to actually get people involved. I ran for office as well. I ran for county council. I didn't win. There was 4 people in a race, so I did not win. But one of my opponents who made it into the runoff, because there was a runoff, he came to me and said, would you help me? And I said, I can. I cannot endorse anybody. But he said, well, would you at least knock on the doors in these neighborhoods and put out my flyer? I said, well, I'll put out something for you and I'll put out something for the other guy. And that's what I did. So he had a list of all the people who had voted in the primary. Now, this was like 3 or 4 days after the primary had been held. He already had a list of all the people who had voted. Now, of course, I didn't know they could have voted Democrat. They could have voted for me. They could have voted for, I didn't know who they voted for, but I knew they voted. So I did 2 things. One, I gave them that flyer and the information on the other candidate who was in it. And I thanked every one of them for actually voting. So, because what was sad was in my particular neighborhood, there's probably 1,200 homes. There's more now, but only 44 households had voted. So anyway, the purpose of my story is to get to this. So I reached out to Mark Benoit and said, listen, Mark, could you get me the list of everybody who voted in District 8, which is the district I ran for? I said, because I'd like to go knock on all the doors of the people who didn't vote and say something like this. Hey, clearly, I see that you didn't vote, so you must not be a registered voter. Here, let me give you a voter registration form so we can get you registered to vote.
Mhm.
Well, you would think that the Republican Party would be like, God, somebody's willing to do that? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
Yes. And he said, well, let me get it to you. And he hemmed and he hawed. And a week went by and he said, well, I don't have that information yet. And I'm thinking, well, clearly you do, because my opponent already had it.
Absolutely.
So how could you not have it to give to me? Long story short, I never got that information. Never got
Same
it.
exact thing happens here. Everything goes back to one morsel, one cookie, one crumb, and that crumb is Drew McKissick. The incoming county auditor here in Beaufort County just posted something I've got on the screen, that blocking a candidate from speaking where others were allowed to speak should be considered voter suppression. If the GOP chairman, I think he missed a few words, I'll ad lib for David. If he had the balls, he should have added that to the bylaws. However, I don't foresee that. I also want to ask you about something that I've been talking about for years. The real problem that we have in the United States, and South Carolina is indicative of a lot, not all of what we see, but a lot of what we see. One of the real problems that we have in the United States is the uniparty. It's my belief that the uniparty is worse than anything we've seen in a while. And in my humble opinion, how we squash that is a huge effort to organize at the precinct level. Tell me, if you would, if you have any thoughts on the uniparty, and how is precinct level organization going in Horry County?
Well, we've got to get started on that. We have not really put a good group together, and I don't think they have either. I know that we are at least twice the size of the group that Reese is leading. So I think we have the personnel, we have the edge in that area. But we've got to get out and start hitting those doors. Now I did, unbeknownst to Mr. Mark Benoit, I actually printed out that 6,000 whatever names and addresses that. So at least I have that in a paper format, because of course they have those put in Google Docs, so they can grant you access to see them, and they can also remove that access.
Take it away.
Yeah, take it away. So that access, obviously, shockingly, he was taken away from me, or taken away from me rather. So I don't have access to that list anymore. But at the end of the day, I've done enough campaigning that literally I could drive back through these neighborhoods and knock on all the same doors again, and say, listen, we need you to come out to reorg. We need you to get involved, and I don't have a problem doing that. So. That's what's got to happen, though. I don't have the days that I did when I was running, because I just ran for office and I wasn't doing anything. Now I've opened up a small business, but I have about 2 days a week when I could really put the time in, and then in the mornings I could do it from say 9 to 10 before I have to open my business. But that we got to do that. People have to make that commitment. They have to be willing, even if it's nothing more than you knock on 10 doors in your neighborhood every day up until March.
And hey, becoming part of the precinct itself, the leadership of the precinct. Jeff and I were talking about this. I mean, you really only have to vote 2 times in a year. I mean, you really don't have to do a whole lot. And the folks that are already involved, people like you and me, and many others, everybody that's watching this, as a matter of fact, will tell you exactly what you need to do and what you don't need to do, and they'll do it for you. And so it's a very, one of the things. And some folks have criticized me for this, and I want to see if you agree. I don't know a Democrat out there that thinks the same way I do, but I will say, and I've said it for years, that the Republican Party, if they were smart, someone would watch what the Democrat Party does, how they do what they do, their structure of acquiring people. We kind of talked about this earlier. I'm not saying copy them, but I'm saying you need to pay attention, GOP. They've got it figured out how to attract young, female, different ethnic background. They figured it out. So somebody somewhere has got to get smart enough to do that, or we're going to be continually talking about this every 2 years.
Well, we do have a few folks that are doing that. Scott Presser, I'm not sure if you know him or not, but he's actually going out and he's creating a working book called, how to do the ballot harvesting, because it's legal in certain states, including ours. And so he's writing a book on how you do that, how you campaign and how you get people to come and vote using the very techniques that the Democrats use. And in some cases, like in Florida, one of the reasons why they were so successful is they did copy some of the things Democrats did. Democrats would take their ballot boxes and they would place them in places they knew it was going to be highly likely to be liberals, like outside gay bars, outside Planned Parenthood. And they would then go take those boxes and dump all of the ballots they had received there into the regulated ballot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's legal. So some folks in Florida said, well, why don't we do that? So they started putting ballot boxes in front of places like, gun shops and ranges and in front of churches. And then they did the same thing. So there are signs within the Republican Party that we're waking up and saying, okay, we're going to have to play their game. Because if not, we're going to continue to get beat because they're not playing by the same rules, which is why it's imperative that people vote early until we get that fixed. Because if we continue to wait till the day of, we're going to see more and more of what happened in Arizona. Oh, gosh, we're out of ink. Oh, we're out of paper.
Yeah.
Oh, this machine's not working. And so that's what they're going to do. So we have to outsmart them by just playing the game they're playing. And I think that's important that we recognize what they're doing. And then in terms of getting young people out, I'm going to say this, and this is going to hurt some people's feelings, but I'm 52 years old. And we have a problem with folks being in their 70s and nearly 80s who want to be in charge forever. And I'm sorry, when you're in your 70s or 80s, you are not going to hold the attention of somebody in their 20s or 30s. You're just not going to. You have a different mindset than what they have, and it's not going to be an effective way to get them in. And so that problem is definitely an issue here. I'll give you an example. In the group that I was president over, they just had new elections, and I don't think there's anybody on that leadership team. I think the youngest person on the team is 68, and the next closest person is in her mid-70s.
Yeah, that is a problem.
So that's the problem right there.
That is a very, very big problem. What's next for you, Roger, and everyone when it comes to, after being hoodwinked, I guess, well, not really, but sort of, by Drew McKissick. What's next for you all?
Well, we have been, seeking legal options. And I know that one of the things that's happened is Reese Boyd has put out, he's had our treasurer served, our secretary and Roger served with a demand that we turn over some chairs and tables that belong to the 8C GOP. Now, it was done through a magistrate. So if you know much about magistrates, you got a high school diploma, you can be a magistrate. So let's say, here's the possible outcomes. We go, they tell us, nope, you guys are actually the rightful chair. And Reese is like, or they could say, yes, Reese Boyd has this letter from Drew McKissick, so therefore we recognize him as a chair. You've got to give them these belongings. Then, of course, what we can do is say, well, no, we're going to appeal this. And then we appeal it, and it goes to a civil court, and we get, a real judge, if you will, and we fight it that way. So those are some options that we have right now. But at the end of the day, reorg is coming, and it's coming quickly. So we've got to have this adjudicated pretty quickly so that we can make a clear decision. Now, I know Chad's pretty frustrated, and he's basically said if we are not, declared the true 8C GOP that he's done and he's leaving, I don't really think it's going to do it. I think that's just Chad's being frustrated. But what I do think we have to start doing is, regardless of what happens, if they declared them the winners, so be it. We have to go to their convention. We have to do those things. But it doesn't mean we can't get out there and knock on doors and get exact same thing that happened last time, get real numbers and get folks out there. We can't give up, because if you give up, you're letting them win.
That's right. That's right. Shannon Grady from Horry County, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being the patriot that you are. Thank you to you and your husband for your service. And you are always welcome on this show anytime.
Thank you, sir. You have a great evening.
All righty. It is straight up 8 o'clock.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
So don't forget the studio line is 202-980-2023. That is 202-980-2023. I'm assuming it's working. Maybe I'll call myself. Anyway, great to have her on here. And I appreciate Helen, I believe it was you that sent me a little nudge. Come on, big boy, get her on here, and push me into doing it. And as it turned out, thank you. Awesome story there. And there's a lot of video on the net that you can go look at and see these interviews, see some background to that story. It's very interesting. It parallels to what, like I said, has been happening over here in Beaufort County for the past 7 or 8 months. I hope those of you that are watching or will watch this as a tape understand and see those parallels. I mean, they are definitely there. Drew McKissick, Kevin Henley, the hundreds of rhinos in this state that think they're in power must be made to understand that the party is by the people, for the people, and of the people. The people control it. McKissick, Henley, that bunch, they don't. People run it. They don't. And yes, like I was saying, even Kevin Henley said this months ago, who was caught on a hot mic saying, quote, "I'll never resign and no one can ever make me resign." Yes, they can. The process is still in motion. You are not above the law. This is not your party. This is the people's party. Now, wait a minute. Let's hold on right there for a second. Here is what they're saying right now. I pulled the list down of who was watching, then I put it away because I got too many windows. But I'm sure that somebody's sitting there, or they'll send it, they'll call Kevin, and you got to take a look at this. Here he is again. We had a vote of confidence, and it was overwhelming in support of Kevin. Yes, that's very true. They did. However, you had more of the bootlicking lackeys from Sun City Republican leadership, Linda Cannon, county leadership, calling people to make sure they came out to that meeting that was held in Port Royal at the VFW or the AMVETS, whichever, calling people to ensure they came out, and they told them to vote yes in confidence. How do I know that? You're just making that up. You weren't there. I know this. Remember, I said this already. I've had two people. I told you on this very show, I had two people, both happened to live in Sun City. They both called, well, no, one called me, one emailed me. They said this happened. Two different, it wasn't back to back. It was two different time periods. I mean, all the analogies, all the variables had been taken out. It was two instances of people saying, "Hey, guess what? I just got a call from this gal. I know she lives here. She's like some central director or something she called it. She said that we needed to come and we needed to vote in confidence of Kevin. It's good for the party. You have to do it for the party, because there's these wacko people who are trying to split the party." This is the bill of sale that's going on. That was some real honest voting there, Kevin. Anyway, they continue to dig themselves a hole deeper and deeper and deeper. I was at a business the other day, not going to say who it was. I didn't get his permission to do that. But I was at a business, and the guy, the owner came over to me, and he said, "Hey, this guy Hank came over to him and said, well, what an asshole this Covert guy is, and you need to stay away from him at all costs. He's trying to tear up the Republican Party." Well, we laughed about it and joked about it because he knows, and I know, and anybody that is of sound mind, a little common sense, knows that that's not true. So here's the deal. Do I want to see the Drew McKissick bootlicking lackeys, the establishment elitist good old boy network destroyed, not torn down, not broken up, destroyed? Yes, I do. I want to see the conservative party, the conservative Republican Party, the grand old party, return to what is supposed to be the conservative Republican movement. What Drew McKissick and Kevin Henley and the other GOP county heads in some counties, you just heard it right there in Horry County. I've heard about it in Aiken County. Greenville County, a perfect example. Oconee County, just gone through it. What these county heads have been doing is not that. They've instituted the uniparty. So how do we combat that? How do we combat that? First of all, you've got to organize your precinct. It's imperative. We have, let me pull that off the screen there so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it all or not. But anyway, we have these cards. They came from myscgop.com. One side of the card, it says what's going on in March, what's going on in April, what's going on in May. And the back of the card talks about precinct, how to register. Your precinct contact goes on there. A little bit about MySCGOP. There's a map. There's a QR code and an email address. It's very important that we get these cards and a conversation into the hands of everyone. If your precinct is already organized and their establishment backers and their establishment hacks, then reorganize. Numbers win. If your area, where you live, your precinct is not organized, and a precinct is like your street, your neighborhood, whatever, your little corner, your little subdivision. Those are precincts. So they're your people. Your people. We've got to get those people to organize. And it's not a time parasite. We're talking about things that happen like twice a year. And 9 times out of 10, they look to the leadership of the party or whatever faction or whatever group and say, what do you believe in? What do you believe in? Okay, well, let's steer our votes towards this one or that one. We're going to help you with that. We're going to help you with that, with precinct reorganization. In March, that is the local precinct reorg. When you hear that word reorg, that's what that means. In April, the county delegates attend the county convention and they vote for county officers. That is where General Kevin Henley, the chairman of the Central Communist Party of Beaufort, can be replaced. And then in May, the state delegates attend the state convention and so on. I have committed to some folks who, quite frankly, are a lot smarter than I am, and really are the nuts and bolts of formatting this. I have committed to them that I will go anywhere in this county, whether it's a gathering of 2 people, that's your precinct, or it's a gathering of 51 people, that's your precinct, whatever. And you want to hear what we believe is the real conservative party, the real conservative movement, America first, I'll share that with you. We'll help you get involved. So people like Kevin Henley will shit 2 bricks because of this. People like Jodan Lee are having heart palpitations because of this. People like Jim Lee, Linda Cannon, all those from the Sun City Republicans are having coronaries and stutter fits because of this. And they're going to come out, mark my word, they're going to come out. If they're not already doing it, they probably got a speed dial call right now. They're going to come out and say this group, and they're led by that guy right there who's just evil, trying to tear the party up. They're trying to kill the Republican Party with an offshoot party called MySC. They're the GOP is the SCGOP. That's what they're going to come out and say. And no, that's false. That's not true. That is a total lie. Let me rephrase that. It's not true. It's false. And if you hear him say it, it's a total lie. Please tell him, well, Mike Covert said that's not true. That is false. And that's a total lie, because that is what it is. MySCGOP.com. Here's what it is. Here's the news. Okay. Here's the news of this. It's an educational arm to help conservatives learn the truth about precinct level organization and to help spread the word throughout South Carolina about getting involved in a local party to help drain the swamp in Columbia. Get you a bumper sticker like that while you're at it. Okay, drain the swamp in Columbia. They do not endorse candidates, any candidates. They're not trying to take over the party. They're trying to help the party. But remember what Shannon just told you. Big numbers scare these communist, these anti-conservative. Those are the antis. These are the establishment, the elitists. Big numbers scare them because they can't control you. Okay? Ultimate control was what we saw in Sun City. And forget about me. Forget about me. Keith Blandford, JoJo Woodward, Lauren Martell, Shelley West Hodges. There were several. David Cadd. Duh. We weren't allowed in there. That's the ultimate control, not because of us, really. It wasn't because we had a message that was anything different than anybody else. It was because I hope people in Sun City are listening to this, or you all send it to them and tell them to listen to what I'm telling you. The GOP or the Republican Club of Sun City, whatever they are, it's not that they didn't like our delivery. It's because they wanted and were successful in controlling you. They controlled you. They didn't let you hear from anybody because they want you to vote who they want voted in. That is selection, not election. Jodan Lee on the Hilton Head did the same exact thing. Her and her weasel comrade, the same exact thing. They only allowed people in that they knew they wanted because of control. And it's not that anybody had any message, any difference. It's because you, the members of that went to that, whatever the hell it's called, the Friends of whatever, they controlled you by not letting you see, you hear other people. That is what this is all about. It's the precincts is the building block, and it goes everywhere from right there. If you want to have an in-person meeting with your neighbors, neighborhood, or group of friends, concerned people about the state, about the county, about your town, about your street, email me. Send me an email. It's do I have a link, folks, for that? Where would that be? I do not have a link. Wow. Well, I know if you go to bigpatriotradio.com, you can find it there. The email is there, but it's bigpatriotradio@gmail.com. Send me an email and tell me, hey, I want to get in on this reorg thing. At least I want to learn about it. I'm not committing to anything, but I want to learn about it. I am telling you, and I'm committing to you right now. If you reach out, I will make sure that you get the information in your hands to be able to make an intelligent decision.
Locked and loaded. Let's go. Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
That is the commitment that I will make to you. While Kevin Henley and Drew McKissick and all of their fans or their whatever they are, while they are trying to keep you out from hearing everyone else, while they are wanting to control it and keep it at a certain level, all about control. I'm all about transparency. The people that I work with, that I associate with, are all about transparency. You make the decision for you. Okay? Hey, if I'm in a battle, if I'm in an election and everybody's transparent and I lose, that's fine. I mean, that's how it works. But when you start playing crooked and you start, not letting people hear everybody's view, that's wrong. That's wrong. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Again, the number, I don't know if our phone's working or not, 202-980-2023. Has anyone ever wondered who writes the speech? This was sent to me today also. I had to use it. Has anyone ever wondered who writes the speeches for people like Vice President Kamala Harris? Never wondered that? That's not something that gets talked about a lot until she gets on stage, and then you're like, who in the hell wrote that? Well, we stumbled upon a video from her speechwriter with, well, I tell you what, here, just take a listen, and we'll bring in Kamala Harris's speechwriter. So take a listen.
Hi, I'm Oliver Bartholomew. Hi, I'm Oliver Bartholomew, and I'm 16 and a half years old, and I'm the speechwriter for Kamala Harris. My mommy and daddy say if you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Morning, Frank.
Yeah, hey, Oliver.
And my parents were right. Ever since I was little, I liked words. Writing words is fun, so I made writing words my job. Every politics person has a writer, like me, to make good words for them to say.
Space is exciting. Space, it affects us all. And it connects us all.
I got that idea when I was thinking about space and how big it is. Man, it's big. It's not all fun though. Sometimes I have to write about bad stuff, like war.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
It's cool to see the words I've typed good actually get set on TV. It's fun. I like it. Once I thought it would be neat if Kamala wore a blue suit and told people she was wearing it. Because I like blue.
I'm a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
It's cool because the suit's blue. And it's the color of the sky. Where do I get my ideas? From all over. One time, I was on the school bus, and I thought it would be neat if Kamala talked about the school bus. And who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right?
Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right?
I can't take all the credit, though. Me and Mr. Kamala are a team.
You know, like relay racing? You know, you race and someone passes the baton and then, right?
But she kind of is crazy or something. And she kind of scares me. And you can't fake that kind of performance.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. I did it. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid.
You're either born with it or you're either not.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
It's quitting time. I need to get home in time for blue. See you tomorrow, Frank.
See you later, Oliver.
That time is every day.
There we go. Little Oliver, and he is the speechwriter there for Kamala Harris. That was obviously the Babylon Bee satire, or is it? I don't know. Anyway, other news around the area. What else is going on? The city council in the city of Beaufort has announced they have hired their next. What the hell is wrong with this thing? Their next city manager. Scott Marshall is going to be taking the reins sometime in January. Now, I've known Scott Marshall for a long time, and I've found him to be very professional in what he does. He's formerly held positions. He was a county director, town of Bluffton, assistant city manager or town manager, whatever. He's had a bunch of other positions over the years. He directed the Parks and Rec, and it was several things, public works, I believe. Anyway, this channel wants to, we obviously congratulate you, Scott, and wish you every ounce of success as you begin a new, if you will, a new life, so to speak, as the city manager in the city of Beaufort.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, got a couple, another story to go over. Don't forget to go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards and join our membership. If every person that joins the associate level, so those of you that already have, you've got t-shirts that are going to be coming. What we've got going on, if you join the associate level membership, you're going to get a free Big Patriot Radio t-shirt. And then anyone who joins as your referral, you'll get a hat or a coffee mug or a tumbler or a sweatshirt or whatever I got going on. You'll be getting those free as you know, you get as many as you want. It's no problem. So yeah, please go check that out and join us. So most of you know that after this past election season, the South Carolina House became a supermajority Republican-controlled half of the General Assembly here in South Carolina. That's great, right? Yeah, everybody's clapping, and I think we got some clapping going on. There they are. Thank you for being here. Well, wait a minute. There's a timeout, and I've actually been getting some messages from someone who has some knowledge in this. Anyway, see, this outlet and a few others have been telling folks that the outfall of the supermajority will force the issue of elected Republicans to either vote conservative, the true conservative positions, or they're going to have to face destruction by continuing to vote moderately or even liberally. And that destruction is career suicide. That's what happens when supermajority occurs, and now all of a sudden you have to change the way you behave. In other words, the people who signed up as a Republican but really aren't, but that was the only way they could get elected, now all of a sudden are going to have to vote that way, or it'll be a quick term in Columbia. So what's at issue? Well, recently, you may have heard about this, there was a loyalty oath that 18 members of the South Carolina House of Representatives did not sign. And like I said, this is all happening very recently. 18 members of the Republican caucus, the House Republican caucus, refused to sign this draconian restrictions, as some have said, that it would have placed on their right to share information with constituents. In other words, here's an example. There were two House members, one a good friend of mine, Josiah Magnuson from the upstate, all the time when the House is in session, we'll take a picture of the big voting board. They got this huge board. It's like it's an electronic thing like you'd see at the airport or something. And it's got the representative's name and whether they were green for yes or a red in for no, or blank if you decided you didn't want to vote or weren't there. So he would arbitrarily and usual and customary to do that. Well, these people that want this oath signed don't want that. And they gave him a rash of crap for it. So, and basically, the GOP leaders in the South Carolina House foisted this oath on the caucus in an attempt to muzzle dissenting members, i.e., real conservatives, because a real conservative probably wouldn't sign that. A move which has exposed the fractured nature of the party as the impotence of some of its leaders. And I quote that from Fitz News reporting. Officially, the ruling party enters with 88 votes. That is supermajority. I think 82 or something, whatever it is the line. So the group of hardline centrist Republicans being led, if you will, by Speaker Pro Tem Tommy Pope, Representative Jay West, Representative Majority Leader Davey Hyatt, and Representative Micah Caskey, want to have these 18 thrown out of the Republican caucus. My question with that is, if they did, wouldn't that harm their supermajority? If the answer to that is yes, and I don't know the answer, I think I do, but I don't. If the answer to that is yes, then do they really care about the supermajority? If the answer of that is yes, then are they really conservative, or are they wolves in sheep's clothing? Now, new House Speaker Merle Smith, he has come out and he said that he didn't like that idea too much. He's trying to be a consensus builder. Speaker Smith has a similarly, according to Fitz News, size group that wants to negotiate with these crazy Republicans, you know, those like me and many of you who would not have signed that oath because that's not what a Republican really would do. But anyway, so where is that going? This appears to have the as again, I'll refer back to Will Folks with Fitz News. In his words, this whole story has the visions of the Republican Party in the Assembly, the House rather, imploding. They've got to fix this. South Carolina is already in the outhouse, and normally I would say the shit house. Oh, I did with schools. They're in the outhouse with failing personal income levels. They're not keeping pace. South Carolina is already in the shithouse with explosion of spending of government in areas that government has no business being involved, like running a port, running power companies, owning and running hospitals. Those are not government functions unless you're in South Carolina. So where does the Beaufort County delegation stand on this? I am not 100% sure. However, 3 of the 4, now there are more than 4 that represent parts of Beaufort County. They may also represent other counties, but there are 4 House members that are like ironclad Beaufort County. 3 of the 4 of them are House representatives that are either chairman or chairwoman of select powerful committees. Representative Erickson, Shannon Erickson of Beaufort, she is the chairwoman of the Educational Committee. Weston Newton is the chairman of the very, very powerful Judiciary. Representative Bradley, he is the chairman of the, I believe it's like the Rules and Engagement or whatever, House Rules. And then I don't see them making any waves, to be totally honest with you. They have nothing to gain by becoming involved in this turmoil that these others are. They have nothing to gain. And if they stay out of it, I fully expect that and think that's probably a good thing. They have nothing to gain. I will, just as note, Representative Herb Kurzman from Bluffton, he is subcommittee chair of quite possibly the most powerful subcommittee in the House of Representatives, and that is the Ways and Means subcommittee, which controls the purse strings of the state. Did they sign or not sign? Honestly, I don't know. That's up to them to talk about or ask. I did get, let me see if he's telling me not to use his name or that I can. There's some other stuff coming out. Apparently, it is coming out that leadership may have been the one that leaked some of the information. In other words, as he's putting this, it's an elementary version of a PSYOP. Wow. Reading some of this information. This is going to become big. I wouldn't be shocked if you begin to hear that some of the House representatives that I have mentioned here, not of Beaufort County, I'm talking about some of these that wanted them thrown out or whatever. I wouldn't be shocked if you start hearing that they wanted to share strategy and the confidential caucus meeting with some Democrats. The Uniparty is still alive and still well in Beaufort County and obviously in South Carolina. That is going to do it for this week. And the Beaufort County House of Cards. Don't forget to go to bigpatriotradio.com, live365.com/Big Patriot Radio. Go to Alexa, tell her to play Big Patriot Radio. If you want to become an advertiser, just let us know. We'll get you involved. Toot sweet. Let's see. We will be back here next week as we get ready for Christmas. It will be our Christmas special. That'll be my 55th trip around the sun next week. So how about that? Anyway, get in touch with us if you want to become a member. Don't forget to check out that big the Patreon, rather, the patreon.com Beaufort House of Cards. There on your screen. Go check it out. Become a member. Anyone as an associate member, you're going to get some free merch, some swag, and we're looking forward to that. So until next week, I'm going to sign off for now. This is Mike Covert, and we'll talk to you soon.